Morning to you. Thanks so much. So, are you still going to run?
Well, I'll definitely consider it, but at this point, we've got to wait for Mike Kelly to make an announcement. I think we should give him the space and time to think about what he's going to do for his future. Understanding this is based on a health issue. I've been lucky enough to call Mike Kelly a friend over the last few years. We've done a lot together, and I've spoken to him. And my focus is for him. His future is about his health, and he needs to make that decision. But if he chooses to go, I've said in the past I would never run against Mike Kelly. I would always honour that. But if he does vacate the seat, I said I would consider it. I can't rule it out. Don't rule it in. I think everyone's got to be honest with themselves, and it'll be something that I'll weigh up over the next few days once an announcement's been made.
When's the last time you spoke to him?
I spoke to Mike a couple of days ago. Just, we worked together as the federal and state member in Monaro and Eden-Monaro on a couple of projects, and we also speak about life and family. So, they're private conversations that Mike and I have, and it's rare in politics that you make friends. Very hard on your own side. The ones closest to you are more difficult, but to make friends across the political aisle is something that is special and you cherish. And with Mike, that's been the case, and we've done wonderful work together for our community.
So did he indicate to you that he was probably going to step down this week?
No, look, I'm not going to talk through the conversation I had with Mike. I respect his privacy, and as I said, it's well documented that he's making a decision about his future based on some of the health impacts that he's been dealing with for a very, very long time. He's done it tough. These are serious issues, and but I just wish him all the best.
Okay, well, let's just assume that this may well happen this week. The Nationals only got 77% of the vote last time. How confident are you that if you were to run, how confident are you that you would be able to increase that?
One of the things I've always said in my seat of Monaro, it's no different. We've been bellwether seats for a long time. I won the first election with 2% margin. Then there was a redistribution. I went backwards a little bit, and then I won the second election with a 2.5% margin. And at the last election, I won it with a 12% margin. The reality is the people of the electorate of Monaro, Eden-Monaro, the voters themselves, they are tough markers. They will gauge the individual. Party politics does play a small part of who they vote for, but they also vote for the individual. And that is why Mike Kelly was able to hold a seat against government, bucking the trend of a bellwether status, because of the respect people had for him. At the last election, for Monaro, I polled a 52% primary for the seat of Monaro, and giving me, of course, a 12% two-party preferred margin. So the reality is that when people say that the Nats only received 7% at the last election, we hadn't contested it I think, for decades. And the reality is it's about individuals, it's about what you stand for. People know me in the region, my name recognition's high, but I take nothing for granted. If I choose to do this, I have to accept that I may not win the seat, and that'll be the choice of the voters.
OK, so on that, well, why would you be a better option than Jim Molan, Andrew Constance and even Christy McCain?
Look, at the end of the day, as the member for Monaro, who already represents half the electorate, 50% of the Eden-Monaro electorate is Monaro, and the projects, the work, the issues that I have worked hard for, I've been lucky enough this year to be appointed the Minister for Bushfire Recovery, and that has allowed me to work in those areas, in the Bega, the South Coast area that were impacted by the worst fires, one of the worst natural disasters the state's ever seen, and I've become very passionate about the broader region that I'm born and bred in. But at the end of the day, the voters will decide who's best. Everybody who puts their hand up is deserving of a campaign and deserving to pitch a vision, and the voters will decide who's best placed.
Sounding pretty confident, John.
Oh, look, I've always been confident when I go into a race because, I pitch a vision, I stick to what I believe in, and my track record, 3 elections, growing the margin while in government. While there was a swing away from government, I've always had swings to me, and I think people judge me on who I am and the work effort that I put in place. I've been a local member for 9 years, and I was a councillor in Queanbeyan before that. I've been part of my community, born and bred. My parents migrated there in the 60s, and we're passionate about where we live, who we are. But geez, Eden-Monaro is a very diverse electorate, been battered from the bushfire season. We need a vision for the future, one that actually changes the landscape, and I'm confident I've got a vision, I've got the work ethic, but at the same time, I take nothing for granted. If I do this, I do this knowing that I could be out of politics.
John, I did get you on to talk about the NRL, and we'll get to that in just a second. I just want to ask you about reports on the front page this morning about New South Wales easing restrictions further. So the Premier wants larger gatherings to be in place, reportedly, by the end of next month. But You've been reported as saying you want that to come in earlier. So can you confirm that?
Oh, look, I saw the front page and supposedly it's a leaked document, but, you know, we've made it absolutely clear. The Premier's made it clear. And this week alone, we've lifted restrictions. We've allowed people to travel, to visit family and friends for any reason. We're looking to how we get the economy moving again. We've got to make it clear to the Australian public and especially the citizens of New South Wales the pathway back to some level of normality. And we don't hide that we're weighing that up. We're looking at all the options, all the industries, all the decisions we made to shut down the state. Well, now we've got to unlock that, and we'll do that on a risk analysis. We've got to measure the productivity, the economic uplift, the well-being, the mental health, the health of individuals, but we've got to measure that against risk. What the Australian people have allowed us to do by abiding by the rules, by stopping the spread and doing what we've asked, is allowed us to suppress the numbers to single digits. In that same time, we've been able to increase the capacity in our health system by triple, if not quadruple, which means the intended outcome would be lifting restrictions. We'll see a spike in numbers, but that's not an accident. That'll be the intended outcome, and we'll be able to manage that spike. But we'll do so in a measured way that allows us to get to some level of normality. And as a government, we're actually looking at all options. It's not just what was reported today. We'll look at all those opportunities to bring some level of normality back to New South Wales.
So how big could an outdoor gathering be? How many people are we talking? 10? More?
Well, look, you know, at the moment it's 2. You know, but previous it was 10. I know that the National Cabinet, these things will be discussed. The Premier will lead the debate on behalf of New South Wales. But whatever happens at the National Cabinet, each state has the autonomy to make its own decisions. We will measure that against risk. You know, you've got to look at the economic uplift and the mental or the well-being of individuals. You measure that against the risk. If the risk's too high, we've just done far too much work to go backwards now. If it means hanging out longer, yes, but we'll look at all categories. It's not just about outdoor gatherings. It's all about industry. It's about opening retail. It's about, you know, making sure we can function as an economy. Our small business owners are doing it tough. They're on the brink of collapse, and the economy is struggling. Unemployment, you know, New South Wales could reach an extra 219,000 people hitting the unemployment list. We don't want that, and we've got to measure, but we've got to do it in a safe way and not undo the hard work that the Australian people have already put in place.
John, these are onto the NRL now. Nathan Cleary, these TikTok videos. I mean, how disappointing is that? And could this really derail the NRL's plans for a May 28 return?
Yeah, Peter, look, there's been a lot of naysayers. There have been a lot of people that don't believe the NRL should return. And, you know, I've been a big advocate for its return. I've been working with the NRL, and I put my own name against it, that we can put in place the protocols and measures that actually deliver the NRL. I start again in May. But then you get an individual, like the number of players that breached, they were fined, they were dealt with. The issue with Cleary is that he then has lied. He said it was only a small interaction, but in the end, the TikTok social media platform shows there was more to that. And in my mind, you know, when you get caught out and you apologise, you deserve a break, but not when you mislead the public and the NRL. And I think from now, for Cleary, it should be the end of his season.
Okay, so that's a significant step up. So his penalty should be increased dramatically.
Absolutely. I mean, what he has done, firstly, the penalty was appropriate, but to mislead and lie about, in his apology, in my mind, just sends the wrong message. If we're going to trust players to start again, we need their trust, we need them to be honest, then they need to abide by the rules, and they have to follow the rules. The game is bigger than any individual, and I give credit to Peter V'landys and the NRL to what they've put in place, to Wayne Pearce and his team, to get the game going. So we don't want to let one individual wreck it for everybody. The NRL still should and can start as they've planned once they get the appropriate sign-offs by all levels of government. But no individual should think that they can actually break the rules and somehow be part of it. Because if we don't send a strong message now, what we'll end up having is a season that starts and possibly stops. And that's the reality. And you don't want to be that player that ends the season for your teammates.
So should the other two players be banned for the season as well then?
Well, they've had fines in relation to their breaching social distancing, and the social distancing rules are for everybody, and everyone should be, all the penalties should be appropriate. But they have some other issues that they will have to be dealt with. Both the NRL and the police are looking at that, and I'll leave that for the others to make judgment on the rest of their season. Okay,
and so what is it? Just arrogance? I mean, Paul Kent was very strong last night, saying, you know, these guys think that they're above the law. They're too arrogant. Do you go that far?
No, I don't think it's arrogance. Sometimes it's just stupidity, and we're living in very unique times, and with COVID, and It's a tough time for everybody, and what may feel and sense like to be a simple act that really doesn't hurt anybody sends the wrong message. What people do look to are these players as ambassadors. We need them to do the right thing because so many people follow who they are, and when they make a mistake, they should also be given a fair chance, and they were given that with the initial penalty. But then to continue to mislead and in this case lie about what the activity was, I think it deserves further penalty.
Okay.